They're sort of imagining things will be more back to normal by after the summer into the sort of third and fourth quarter of the year. And there's a lot of possibilities that could happen, but it feels like at least the industry is sort of betting on that as a turn for the year, as a turn back to some form of normalcy. I think a lot of those habits will be hard for theaters to break, especially if they're asking people to spend the amount of money they used to be spending on movie tickets, which got increasingly expensive and will probably be in not great economic straits as a whole coming out of the pandemic. And people will be wary of wanting to go out and splurge on a night at the movies or a music concert or a theater, I think. And it will be hard. I think those chains, especially the big chains that relied on blockbusters and relied on stuff that people might assume they can just get at their homes, will suffer.
Stores had to shut down. Everybody works remotely. There are no real book tours. You look at Barack Obama, for instance. When Michelle Obama's book came out 2 years ago, she's going to arenas. She's at the Barclays Center. Barack Obama has to do everything kind of, remotely, Zoom conversations. Books are very different from, let's say, if you want to experience a movie the way the director wanted you to experience that movie, well, you got to go to a theater. Books you can still experience in the same way you could before, the way the author would want you to experience. There you are, in a room alone. So books were far less disrupted.
I think for music, it's sort of the incentive for the artist is probably still going to be to go on the road, and still in a large part, there might not be as many venues, there might be smaller crowds. It will probably suffer, but that kind of world still feels like such an essential part of the performance, and people still care about that live performance in a way. Because there isn't very much money to be made on streaming for them, and they would most likely make it with, a regular gig somewhere, and those gigs will be harder to come by. It'll be interesting in a way because the people who commanded stadiums and arenas, once people feel okay returning to stadiums and arenas, probably could fill them again.
We're watching football, baseball, basketball without audiences, and communities need to be around their team. It's that sense of tribalism that's missing. Same thing with music. People go to see that band that they love, and they sit in their seats 100 yards away and 3 levels up because they like being with that crowd of people.
I think for one thing, it really depends on whether there's government intervention in some form, support for all these industries and some kind of bailout or, rent relief. Because if there is, it could be much quicker. Otherwise, it could take, it depends whatever you define normal is. It could be years till it returns to normal. It will certainly won't return to exactly what it was before, but it will take, I'm sure, at least 6 months before people probably feel comfortable doing everything, and longer than that before there are the same kinds of opportunities. But the dent will be incredibly massive just all over, I think.
Okay.